Hello guys, welcome back, and I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. So today in this video we'll be continuing with our third Bhms Organon exam revision series of the short notes. In this video we'll be covering the year summer 2019's paper, the 5 markers which are asked in the paper. So let us begin. And अगर आपने इसके पहले के दो वीडियोस नहीं देखे हैं, part 1 and part 2, I would like you all to watch those videos first. In that we have given the general idea and some important notes which you need to remember before starting this series. So without much ado, let us begin with this one. And also वो आप पहले के वीडियोस देख लेना एक बार. So summer 2019, short answers, the 5 markers. The first one, explain surrogates. Surrogate means substitute, to put one in another's place, equivalent or alternative in place of another serving the same purpose. Hahnemann strictly stresses that there can be no surrogates in homeopathy. In aphorism 119 and in its footnote, every species of plant differs in its external form, mode of life and growth, in its taste and smell from every other species and genus of plant. Also, every mineral and salt differs from all others in its external as well as its internal physical and chemical properties. Similarly, every drug differs from the other in their pathogenetic and therapeutic effects. Each substance produces alterations in the health of human beings in a peculiar, different, yet determinate manner. Hence, it is impossible to confound and confuse one with another. A knowledgeable and unprejudiced physician will be able to appreciate the difference of effects on the health of a man of every single substance from those of every other. Hence, one can easily perceive that there can never be medically an equivalent remedies. Hence, there can be no surrogates in homeopathy. So, in this answer, what we need to remember is that Dr. Hahnemann says that there can never be any surrogacy in homeopathy. Each and every drug is peculiar in its own action and in its own pathogenesis, and we cannot confuse one drug with another. That's why while solving cases also we try to differentiate one remedy with another, and that is how we try to select the similimum on the basis of characteristic symptoms and the differences. So that is what Dr. Hahnemann is trying to say in this important point of surrogacy in homeopathy. And lastly, we have to remember that there can be no surrogate in homeopathy, and the important aphorism to be remembered here is aphorism 119 and its footnote. So now let us move on to the next 5 marker, which is explain treatment of diseases with local symptoms. So simultaneous administration of homeopathic similimum and homeopathic specific external application is not permitted because local affection will be removed sooner than the restoration of the internal derangements, leading to a deceptive impression that a complete cure has taken place. It becomes difficult to determine from the premature disappearance of the local symptoms if general disease is destroyed. Aphorism 197. Exclusive local application of a homeopathic medicine is also not permitted because with this disappearance of the chief symptom locally and in a one-sided manner, the residual portion of the disease remains in a mutilated and vague form, making it difficult to select the right remedy. Aphorism 198. If few symptoms are present to help select a homeopathic internal remedy for the whole disease, the persistence of the local affection during its internal employment would prove that the cure was not yet complete. Aphorism 200. Treatment of local affections with non-homeopathic external remedies with corrosives, caustics, escharotics, or by excision distorts and obscures the outwardly reflected picture of the internal essence of the disease, thus intensifying the internal disease and driving the disease manifestations to another part of the body. Aphorism 203. So one of the most important example we can relate here is of skin diseases wherein psoriasis, eczema are suppressed by a local application of any homeopathic medicines or by local steroid application, wherein we see that the remedy, the symptoms which disappear from the skin later on manifest in some important organs of our body, like the person who has applied dermatologically skin creams and all on his eczema or psoriasis, there could be a chance that he may develop asthma later in future, because the symptoms on the skin are removed, but the original essence of the disease in which the person is suffering stays as it is or sometimes intensifies. So we have to remember that, and in this answer of treatment of disease with local symptoms, this has to be kept in mind that in homeopathy, as far as soon as far as it is concerned, local application is not given that important and should not be used much. So now let us move on to the next question, which is explain advantages and disadvantages of LM potency. A very important question. Advantages of LM potency. It becomes easy to select from a limited range of potencies. No fear of aggravation of disease or patient's condition by administering it in high or low potency and in repeated doses. Can be repeated anytime when there is need for medicine according to law of similars. Action is quick and rapid. Accurate judgment of the nature of cure can be made. So these are some of the important advantages of the LM scale. Now let us look into some disadvantages of the LM potency. The complicated mode of preparation of medicines and its administration and regulation has led to a lack of usage among the profession. Medicines must be administered in liquid form in order to prevent the decomposition of water and rectified spirit. So these were some important disadvantages of the LM potency. So yeah, at least for this answer, least to least you need to remember these 4 to 5 advantages and 2 disadvantages. Although you can add your own points from your textbooks, respective textbooks or your notes or some class lectures, that is always possible. And if nothing, at least remember these points for your examinations. Alright, now let us move on to the next question. Explain law of minimum. So to begin with, law of minimum comes into one of the fundamental laws of homeopathy. It means the quantity of action necessary to effect any change in nature is the least possible. The decisive amount is always a minimum and infinitesimal. The quantity of the homeopathic remedy required is in inverse ratio to the similarity. It means greater the similarity, smaller the quantity of drug required. Minimum dose means the sufficient amount of potentized medicine which can react with vitality and effect a change. This concept of minimum dose led to the invention of potentization. Administration of minimum dose has the following advantages. To avoid unwanted aggravation, very important. To bring out uncommon peculiar characteristic symptoms. Does not allow the drug to do any organic damage nor induce drug addiction. To maintain the similarity of the sequence of the disease and the drug. Arndt-Schulz's law states that small doses stimulate, medium doses paralyze, and large doses kill. This law verifies the concept of minimum dose. So these are some important points which we need to remember while learning and while revising the answer of law of minimum, which is a fundamental law of homeopathy. Now let us move on to the next question, which is explain qualities of simple substance as described by Dr. Kent. In aphorism 9, it is stated that we cannot consider the vital principle as harmony nor harmony as principle. Principle is something that is prior to harmony. Harmony is the result of principle or law. The true holding together of the material world is performed by the simple substance. All things are held in position because of the continuous influx from first to last. Simple substance is endowed with formative intelligence, that is, it intelligently operates and forms the economy of the whole animal, vegetable and mineral kingdoms. The simple substance gives to everything in its own type of life, gives it distinction, gives it identity, whereby it differs from all other things. This substance is subject to change. It may be flowing in order or disorder, may be sick or normal. When the simple substance is an active substance, it dominates and controls the body it occupies. All operation that is possible is due to the simple substance, and by it, the very universe itself is kept in order. It not only operates every material substance, but it is the cause of cooperation of all the things. These are some of the points which we need to remember in simple substance given by Dr. Kent. Now let us move on to the next short note, which is explain materialism. The materialist refuses to believe anything that does not conform to the law of time and space. It must be measured, it must be weighed, it must occupy space, or he has no idea of it, and will distinctly affirm that without it this it is nothing and has no existence. Everything beyond this is to the material mind, poetical, dreamy, mysterious. The natural state of matter is rest, quietude, silence. It has no power to move unless acted upon. The two worlds, the world of motion, of power, and the world of inertia exist in one. There is a world of life and a world of dead matter. The realm of thought and the realm of matter are the realm of cause and the realm of results. Causes are invisible, results are visible. Man, in healthy state, results of normal activities of a unit and must be considered as a unit, wherein in disease state, result of disordered activity of a unit and has to be considered collectively. So this was some of the important points which we need to keep in mind of materialism and materialist, wherein in last we also differentiate the disease man and the healthy state of man. Then now let's move on to the next short note, which is explain taking the recording case recording according to Dr. Roberts. Robert advises the following guidelines regarding case taking in addition to Hahnemannian guidelines in 6th edition of Organon of Medicine. We cannot depend upon our memory in taking the case. The picture must be preserved in indelible form, in a form which we may go over in review without the danger of leaving out any important symptoms. So this is one of the most important point of case taking, wherein we cannot depend on our memory. No matter how sharp our memory is, we can never rely on it as far as the case taking is concerned, and we should make a habit to write each and every point as it is in the patient's language as it is said. So in taking the case, the homeopathic physician has two objects in view: objects of diagnosis and true symptoms of the patient. Object of diagnosis: the homeopathic physician never uses his diagnosis for therapeutic purposes. True symptom of the patient: the greater object in taking the case is to select the true symptoms of the patient and to classify them so that we can make a definite picture of the ills of the patient. Third point, in making the first prescription, the case record is important, and in subsequent prescriptions and in reviewing the case to note the order of disappearance of symptoms. The attitude of physician should be of absolute rest and poise, with no preconceived ideas or prejudices. He should be in quiet listening attitude and should have no previous impressions of the remedy made in his mind. So this covers the part of unprejudiced observer as well. So these were some of the points which we need to keep in mind for Dr. Roberts' advice on case recording and taking of the case. Now let us move on to the next question, which is explain suppression according to Dr. Roberts. The normal functioning of vital force may be inhibited by external forces. This results in a lack of harmony and a suppressed functioning of the vital force, so that disease conditions are produced with irregular functions of the body. Suppressing one symptom after another changes the whole picture until there is no expression of the true condition of the patient. The effect of a suppressive method of treatment continued over a period of time drives the vital energy to express itself in some other form, and usually in deeper and more vital organs. Allopathic medicines initially result in transient relief and then suppression or an actual aggravation of the condition. Suppressed emotions may extend their influence to the next generation through the effect on a nursing mother. Indiscriminate use of salicylates and coal tar derivatives in rheumatic conditions pushes the trouble to the heart. Indiscriminate use of aspirin for relief of pain is harmful. It suppresses the danger signal of pain, covers the condition but never removes it. In removing the tonsils, teeth or other organs by surgery, the abdominal end product is removed, but not the disease process. These suppressions may be the direct cause of many constitutional diseases and the source of many functional disturbances, and should be kept in mind that they should not be followed. So with this, guys, we have covered the answer of suppression according to Dr. Robert, and there were 8 questions here, and the 4 ones which we haven't covered is the previous ones. So जो बाकी के 4 questions है, ओवरऑल 6 and 6 12, उसमें से जो 4 है वो ऑलरेडी रिपीट हो चुके थे प्रीवियस ईयर्स में, so we haven't included that. You can always refer the part 1 and part 2 of this video. So with this, guys, we end this video on a note that अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छा लगा हो, अगर आपको ये नोट्स अच्छी लगी हो, तो प्लीज़ डू राइट इट in your own handwriting. Highlight the important points which we have mentioned here. Read your textbooks to get a deeper understanding of the topic and the subject, and lastly revise them before examinations so that you can recollect maximum points and reproduce them to get and fetch good marks. So please do give a like, share, subscribe to our channel, and share this video to maximum number of friends. Thank you very much. Till then, goodbye and take care, and see you all in the next part of this video. Thank you very much.